Hello everybody and welcome to Forever Cricket. We are back at Forever Cricket on Forever Sports. The first video in a long time because we haven't actually really had cricket at the end of the day. At the end of the Pakistan series against South Africa, that was pretty much the last time the Proteas, well, it was the last time the Proteas played. The domestic season in South Africa has come to the end. IPL's in fact been suspended. So there's pretty much no cricket happening in and around the world, which is very frustrating for those cricket lovers out there. Personally, I've been sort of using my time to catch up with my rugby and my football, but cricket will return to your screens for the South African cricket fans in June. It has finally been confirmed, completely confirmed, that the Proteas will be touring to the West Indies in a test tour as well as a T20 tour, which will happen between the sort of beginning of June to the beginning of July, which is very exciting. And I think it'll be quite a nice opposition. You know, we tend to play certain opposition a lot of times. You know, we played Pakistan a lot of times, trying to sort of foster a relationship. And now we're going to West Indies. And what I think is quite important is I think that CSA are trying to sort of build relationships with the non-top three unions. You know, when you think of Cricket Australia, BCCI, and the English Cricket Board, they've got all the power within the ICC. You know, they are the three sort of heavyweights. And they kind of sort of run the ICC. And there's quite a lot of contentious arguments about the fact that they've got too much power and that they kind of, whatever they say goes, and that's kind of how cricket works in the world. And what it looks like, I mean, CSA kind of got a very, very good relationship with, for example, Pakistan. And they want to try and now build a decent relationship with the West Indies. And you can then try and build a relationship with the Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, with New Zealand. And then you can sit there and say, right, you know what, we're sick of being on the periphery. We want to actually have equal representation. Because unfortunately, whilst, you know, historically, we've always been one of the best sides in the world, CSA, because of the mess it is in and because they just can't seem to, you know, they couldn't organise a piss-up in a brewery, they are not being taken seriously, and that's why BCCI, English Cricket, and Cricket Australia have sort of established this dominance, and it's time to sort of start taking that back. And the fact that we, hopefully, you know, we've got a new board coming in CSA, it's going to be majority independent. We've got a new memorandum of incorporation that's been sort of signed, and it's going to be a whole sort of a bit of a new dawn for CSA, and hopefully with that, we're going to need to start building our way back into getting sort of on the map and being important in the cricketing world. And it starts with results on the pitch, which means that a tour to West Indies is not an easy tour, by the way. People sort of often will say, if you're not beating the top three sides in the world, you know, your traditional top three sides in India, Australia, and England, then, you know, there's no point. You know, people get very dismissive about opposition. They get very dismissive about, I mean, a side like New Zealand, people have been quite dismissive about them. World Cup finalists and could have won it. Now playing in the World Test Championship final. It's a very good side, that New Zealand side. And equally so, I think West Indies are a side which have got some incredibly talented players and could put a very good side on the field. Just remember what happened to England when they went and toured West Indies a couple of years ago and they got taken apart. Jason Holder scoring a double century. I mean, it was madness. So I think it's going to be a very interesting tour. But the important thing for South Africa is they need to start putting results on the field. They need to start getting victories, especially in the test format. We have been so brutally poor in test match cricket in the past sort of year and a half. So it's an interesting time. And the reason I mentioned the test, first of all, because they're coming first. The first test will be from the 10th to the 14th of June. It'll start at 4 o'clock South African Standard Time. So, you know, we can get an entire workday in and settle in for the evening and watch test match cricket. The next test will be between the 18th to the 22nd of June. It'll be a 2-test series. It is happening in St. Lucia at the Darren Sammy Cricket Ground. And the reason I want to sort of talk about test cricket is because Colpacks are no more. You know, we're seeing that all these players have now signed contracts back in South Africa. We are getting our Colpack players back. Hashim Amla's coming back and playing in South Africa. Kyle Abbott's playing in South Africa. Simon Harmer. These are all players. You know, Dane Patterson, Dwayne Olivier, right? So these players are all signing contracts back to play within South Africa, which means that they are available. So if you wanted to call up, in particular, I'm going to go with Simon Harmer, Kyle Abbott. Those two players who've been ripping up county cricket for a while. Look, Wayne Pond, I was also doing quite a job over there. But in particular, Kyle Abbott and Simon Harmer are currently available to the Proteas. I mean, they're playing county cricket at the moment as overseas professionals, but there's no agreement. They haven't signed, you know, they're not Colpack players anymore. They haven't sort of waived their right to play for South Africa. So they're once again available for selection. So the question then comes, do you select them? And the answer is yes. Of course you select them. These two have been at the top of county cricket for the last couple of years. So why wouldn't you? I mean, county cricket is the premier long format red ball tournament in the world. These are two players who have been dominating again. You've got to get them back in the Proteas setup. And I personally, you know, there's a lot of sentiment about Colpack players, that they are traitors, that they've left for the money, they don't care about their country and stuff like that. A lot of people saying that they left because of quota systems and they weren't going to get a chance. And I don't think it's the case for either of these players, to be honest. And I don't think with either of these players there's any sort of resentment. Maybe Kyle Abbott, there's a little bit of resentment. Not about coach system or anything like that, but just... maybe to a point with that whole semi-final debacle in 2015, but they both left and it kind of made sense for their careers. Simon Harmer has left and Keshav Maharaj has done a terrific job. I wouldn't necessarily say that Simon Harmer is way better than Keshav Maharaj. You look at when Harmer was playing Test cricket, you look at when Maharaj was playing county cricket, and their stats line up a lot. I think Simon Harmer is a much better batsman, so he does offer a bit more all-round. He's a very different bowler, obviously, than Keshav Maharaj. Those two are our best two spinners. So you've got to take your best two spinners over there and get Simon Harmer into a Proteas shirt and see what he can do. Likewise, I think when Kyle Abbott left, you could kind of understand. This is somebody who had always performed when he'd been called up. But he was bowling in a bowling lineup that had Morne Morkel, Vernon Philander, Dale Steyn, Kagiso Rabada coming through. Lungi Ngidi had just broken through and looked sublime in Test cricket. It was a very, very long bowling lineup for South Africa. And I think Kyle Abbott sat there saying, I'm not going to be able to make this side. I'm not going to be able to make a difference in the side for another couple of years. I can go overseas right now and earn the right money. So I don't think at the time, you could kind of understand why he left, because he was not getting opportunities. He wasn't really playing as much as he would like to. He was only sort of playing when there were injuries. But he was kind of the fifth or sixth choice seamer in the country. Obviously, since then, Dale Steyn has had to pull out and had all his injuries. Vernon Philander retired early. Morne Morkel also probably hung up his boots when he could have played for a bit longer. So we suddenly went from having this sort of 5-6 seamers, like how are you going to pick them, to losing your top three. Lungi Ngidi then going with the long-term injury. And suddenly we've had to have players like Lutus Apamlo getting a go. We've had a couple of sort of teams. Chris Morris being given a go, and we haven't really sort of paid off. Kagiso Rabada, Anuf Nokia, and Lungi Ngidi were, in theory, going to be the sort of frontline seamers. But Ngidi's really struggled with injury, and since he's come back, he's been terrific in white ball, but he hasn't quite managed to regain that red ball form. And a lot of it's got to do with a bit of pace he's lost because of his injury. So I think there's a massive, massive opportunity to get Kyle Abbott within those bowlers. And when you've got a Kyle Abbott, Kagiso Rabada, Lungi Ngidi, Anuf Nokia, that's a very good seed lineup. You're also seeing how Vian Mulder can offer a little bit with the ball. You've still got your Lutus Apamlas, you've still got these other players who can come up and offer something. But I think, you've got to bring in Kyle Abbott. He's a strike bowler. He takes wickets. He's aggressive. I love the way he approaches the game. He's a very in-your-face bowler. He's very confrontational. Loves sort of that competition. I think he would complement what we've got very, very well. So for my instance, you've got to take those two players. You've got to bring them into the test setup, and you've got to start churning out results. We've lost Faf du Plessis, so that's a very big who's going to sort of bat in that position. So we're having a bit of a battle. Is Kyle Verreynne going to come in? Where are we going to sort of see that difference? So it's a new time for the test team. Dean Alger will be his first series as captain, so he'll be under a lot of pressure, but I'm very interested to see what sort of squad we take over and how we approach that. We will then be playing in a 5-match T20 series. These will all be at the National Cricket Ground, which is in St. George's in Grenada. So, it's going to be a 7-match tour, 2 tests and 5 T20s. No ODIs, unfortunately, because that's one of my personal favorite formats. I think it's long enough to be able to sort of dig deep, get yourself in, and still be quite a tactical game. But it's also, done in a day. So I've always been a big ODI fan. T20s, I think I always like a 4-match test series, 5 ODIs, and then a 3 T20 series. I really don't like a 5 T20 series. I think it gets a bit too much, to be honest. But Josh, that is the schedule. They are scheduled to arrive on the 1st of June, which means that we can expect an announcement of the squad in the next week or two before they go. So I think it's going to be fantastic to get back. We've also got that island tour, which is nothing really to write home about, but it should be an interesting chance to get some youngsters into the system and see sort of who's really sort of taking that opportunity. Obviously, the T20s, hopefully we're going to have Temba Vuma back and he can actually lead the side in a T20 series. Nice 5-match T20 series against a very good T20 outfit. So it's a very nice time to start putting that preparation for the end of the World Cup. Very interesting to see what happens about Abbott de Villiers, because if he's going to be part of that World Cup, one thinks he has to start playing cricket for South Africa, in which case, will we start seeing some, will he be in the squad maybe in the mid-year? Will we have a return from Abbott de Villiers? So lots to look forward to with the series. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you smash the like. We will be covering the series in quite a lot of depth, having previews, reviews, and all that kind of thing. So make sure you are subscribed so you're part of the action. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Stephen, and I'll chat to you soon.